Hello again everybody, Clint, Darren and Tim with you for this third week of exciting Season 5 bloopers, and this is it. Will we continue to get the 330 correctly right here? Well, I'm sure we will. So last week, we tried again after Magnum PI, but with Disney on Ice, and that would have been our final answer. So this is the story this week. If we don't get the 330 at the end of this week, Mr. Polish will get Center Miles Neff. So now here's the first blooper. Spider-Man.
What, Mr. Boone? Spider-Man? Why is Spider-Man on the 330 and not Magnum PI or Disney on Ice?
The Spider-Man curse happened last year in 2018.
You slapstick. Mr. Polish, Spider-Man is not on the 330. Guys, the 330 right now, or I will send one of you to Miles Neff.
And now it reads, Far From Home. What if Spider-Man Far From Home is on the 330?
Spider-Man Far From Home is not on the 330, Mr. Tim, because that, I believe, is not my final answer.
What if it was after the 2002 Spider-Man crisis, and Spider-Man Far From Home is not, Mr. Pinwheel, your final answer? Mr. Polish, the 330, not Spider-Man Far From Home. And now, Mr. Pinwheel is part of Spider-Man Far From Home. Mr. Pinwheel, go back to CVS, or I will call on David Steph. And now, Mr. Pinwheel, Spider-Man Far From Home, all rise! Mr. Pinwheel, I say it to you again, get out, or David Steph. Breaking news. What? Breaking news? Disney on Ice after girls drowning in Lake. CVS News. CVS better not put any more breaking news topics on the 330. Disney on Ice will begin in 5 minutes. What? Disney on Ice, you better not be on the 330 or I will call on Kenneth Feld.
That, or Miles Neff.
Mr. Pinwheel, how dare you put Miles Neff in Spider-Man Far From Home when he is semi-retired? The 330, or I will call on him. And now guys, Spider-Man is not your final answer. What guys? Spider-Man is not your final answer. You have got to let me out of this mess.
You know, since you guys are sans warrant, I think that Spider-Man could be my final answer.
Mr. Tim, Spider-Man is your final answer. Mr. Tim, you are not supposed to cross out the word not. It is not your final answer when Spider-Man is not your final answer.
And now, Mr. Polish, Spider-Man is associated with Mickey's search party.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Pinwheel. If you don't give me the 330, I will have to send you to Miles Neff. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's more like it. So on with the next blooper. And now, Mr. Pinwheel, Spider-Man, and Mickey's search party, your final answer, no. SWAT, CVS Thursday, Mr. Pinwheel, you, Mr. Tim, you put Disney on there. I'll show you Disney on Ice since Mickey's search party, you Pinwheel, 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 Pinwheel. And now, Mr. Pinwheel, you are gonna use 50-50 over Spider-Man, Mickey's search party, and Disney. No, that is not gonna work. The 330, right now, or Miles Neff. And now, Mr. Pinwheel, you have used it 50-50. Mr. Pinwheel, and now Mr. Pinwheel, you put WB and Tim, I guessed, over 50-50 over Spider-Man, Mickey's search party, and Disney. Mr. Pinwheel, that is enough. And now, Mr. Pinwheel, I will send you to Miles Neff for ruining this slide. And that's gonna wrap up our third week. Hope Mr. Polish does better next week. In week 4, I'm Clint Boone, along with Darren Polish and Mr. Tim, saying so long. Come on, Mr. Pinwheel, let's get you to Miles Neff.